The anime begins with a boy named Taiju entering the classroom. He has been unable to confess his love for a long time and finally makes up his mind. He immediately tells his friend Senku Ishigami about it. Senku offers him a love potion and assures him that he will definitely not be rejected. But Taiju simply pours out the potion, saying that everything must be done honestly. It turns out that it was just regular gasoline. Taiju approaches the girl he has been in love with for a long time. Her name is Yuzuriha. He is afraid to confess his feelings because if she rejects him, they will no longer be able to remain friends. At that moment, a bright green light appears. All people around the world begin to turn into stone statues. Thousands of years pass. Civilization collapses. Cities are overgrown with forests. Nature reclaims the world. People stand petrified, but some remain conscious. Among them is Taiju. After a very long time, the stone cracks and he breaks free. Seeing the new world and the stone people around him, he realizes that all of humanity has turned into statues. Taiju decides to walk along the river to find familiar places. He wants to return to the tree where Yuzuriha was. We are shown the past. Taiju once found a stone bird. Thinking it was a disease, he went to the clinic. There, he accidentally met Yuzuriha, who also brought a stone bird. In the end, Taiju finds the tree where he sees his girlfriend under it, sits down, and thanks the tree for protecting her, and confesses his love to Yuzuriha. Seeing an inscription next to the frozen statue, he notices that someone has left a message. He goes downstream and meets his old friend Senku. Seeing each other, Taiju is overjoyed because his old friend is fine. Senku mentions the date, October 5th, 5738. It turns out that while they were statues, Senku kept track of time to know the date and choose the right moment to wake up, because if he woke up naked in the middle of winter without knowing anything, he would simply die. Senku and Taiju arrive at the base. Taiju is surprised that Senku built everything himself. Senku didn't have enough strength, so he decided to wake up his old friend Taiju first, because he was sure that his old friend was still alive. They begin to divide their responsibilities, with Senku taking charge of all the organization. They plan to recreate everything that humanity has created over 2 million years. After Taiju goes to gather mushrooms and herbs for a snack, Senku tells him which ones are poisonous and which ones are edible. After the snack, Taiju goes back to find supplies and ends up finding grapes. He also notices a statue of a man who was the strongest high school student in the past. Taiju enters the cave, followed by Senku, who says that they need more people and that it won't be easy without them. Senku begins to wonder why they woke up, and almost simultaneously. Seeing the liquid from the bat droppings, which is nitric acid, Senku and Taiju try to wake the bird with nitric acid, but nothing works. It turns out that he has been doing his experiments all this time, but nothing works because science is a slow process. Senku wants to make needle, but they don't have any alcohol, and then Taiju remembers that he has the grapes that can be used to make wine. After they make it, they combine the wine and nitric acid. In the end, this helps to remove the petrification from the bird. Senku and Taiju decide who to resurrect first, and the choice is obvious: Yuzuriha. Senku is already preparing to pour the liquid, but Taiju notices that Yuzuriha is not wearing any clothes. Senku replies that it doesn't make sense because they are in the Stone Age and no one will pay attention to such things. At that moment, a huge lion emerges from the forest, and without hesitation, they start to run away. They have only one hope left: to resurrect the strongest of the high school students, Tsukasa Shishio. Senku pours liquid on his head, and Tsukasa regains consciousness. He asks about the situation, and Senku explains that they are surrounded by lions. Tsukasa immediately rushes into battle, first with stones, and then with one powerful blow kills the strongest lion. He declares that now they don't have to worry about safety or food, but Senku is nervous because Tsukasa is too strong, and in the event of a conflict, it will be impossible to stop him in the Stone Age. Later, at their base, the heroes get to know each other again. Tsukasa starts hunting and collects meat, assuring them that they will always have enough food now. Senku cooks fish, and Tsukasa breaks a huge stone fragment that was trapping a man. After dinner, Senku asks them what is the most important thing for the development of humanity. Neither Taiju nor Tsukasa can guess. Then Senku says that it is calcium carbonate, or in simple terms, sports field markings. Taiju suggests simply finding a gym, but Senku indignantly reminds him that gyms have long since ceased to exist, and explains that calcium carbonate can be obtained from seashells. Taiju immediately rushes to collect them. When they have gathered enough, Senku explains that calcium carbonate can be used in agriculture, construction, and soap making, because in a world without doctors, diseases are deadly. Tsukasa admires Senku's intelligence and admits that he has never met such a genius. Taiju reminds him of the fourth method, but Senku, embarrassed, says he was wrong and that there are only 3 methods. Night falls, and we see Senku crafting something like a crossbow. In the morning, on the shore, Tsukasa tells a story. Once upon a time, a boy made necklaces out of shells for his sick sister, but the landowner beat him for stealing the shells. At that moment, Tsukasa smashes the head of the petrified man. Senku says that Tsukasa has just killed someone. It turns out that Tsukasa is against the revival of the old generation. He is convinced that with civilization will come the return of war and the division of land, but Senku replies that with the help of science, he will save everyone. Senku tells himself that without the special liquid that awakens the Stone Man, Tsukasa will keep himself under control, and therefore under no circumstances should he reveal what this liquid is and that it comes from the cave. But suddenly Taiju appears and tells Senku everything, and Tsukasa himself hears it. He becomes curious about what the liquid is, and Senku replies that it would be easier to show him. We are transported to the base where Yuzuriha has already been dressed, but Senku notices that there is not enough liquid for even one person. Tsukasa says that he will go and get it himself, as it will be faster, and asks to be told where the cave is. As soon as he leaves, Senku immediately begins mixing the ingredients, because he doesn't want Tsukasa to learn the secret of the liquid that awakens people. Tsukasa, upon reaching the cave, realizes that it is nitric acid and comes out. Senku didn't want that. Even if it meant revealing the location of the cave, the main thing was that he didn't find out how it all worked. Taiju continues to insist that Tsukasa is a good guy, but Senku replies that you can't reason with him. Yes, he's a good person, but he's also a good killer. Taiju prepares to pour out the liquid, but Senku takes the initiative and does it himself, because there is no time left. Yuzuriha wakes up, and Taiju, unable to hold back his tears, apologizes to her for making her wait 3,000 years. After a short conversation between them, Senku offers two options. Either the three of them run away, or they fight together against Tsukasa. Taiju and Yuzuriha reply that they cannot abandon Senku, and Taiju adds that if Tsukasa is really killing people, then he must be stopped. At that moment, Tsukasa himself appears and declares that it cannot be called murder. He is only destroying for the sake of a new world in the future. Taiju rushes to stop him, and Senku fires an arrow from his crossbow, but Tsukasa catches it with his bare hands, sticks it into the ground, and easily delivers a powerful blow to Taiju. However, he is surprised because Taiju is the first person to withstand his power. Taiju says that he will never raise his hand against people and is willing to endure beatings as long as no one dies. Tsukasa asks what will happen if he hits Yuzuriha, and Taiju instantly shields her with his body, but immediately loses consciousness. Tsukasa leaves, saying that they are no match for him. Senku thinks that the only way to defeat the monster in the Stone Age is to develop civilization. After that, Senku and his friends pretend to run away with all their might, but in reality they are heading to Hakone to get the necessary materials. On the way, they stumble upon a statue of Buddha, and only then do they notice that Yuzuriha's finger is still stone. When they pour liquid on it, it becomes clear that when petrified again, small cracks heal. The action then shifts to Tsukasa, who has already returned to the old base and uncovered Senku's plan. He intends to create gunpowder to stop him. Senku finishes gathering the three components for gunpowder: sulfur, which is abundant at hot springs, charcoal from the remains of a fire, and potassium nitrate, and all that remains is to mix them together. Taiju wants to hit the mixture with a huge rock to complete the gunpowder, but it turns out to be iron pyrite, and the impact causes an explosion. Fortunately, everyone survives. They need the gunpowder to make a deal with Tsukasa because with it, they can negotiate under certain conditions, and both know that if something goes wrong, they are ready to kill each other. At this time, Yuzuriha notices a smoke signal, a response to Senku's explosion, and the guys decide to send the signal again with new explosions. But there is little gunpowder left, so Taiju and Yuzuriha go to get firewood. At the same time, Tsukasa completely uncovers Senku's plan, thanks to the shells. When Senku talks about 4 ways to use them, but then admits he was wrong and there are only 3, Tsukasa notices the smoke, finds Yuzuriha, and takes her hostage, demanding the recipe for the anti-petrification liquid. Senku pretends not to care, but Tsukasa abruptly cuts off Yuzuriha's hair, showing that he is not joking and could kill her. Yuzuriha herself asks Senku to sacrifice her, because as long as Tsukasa does not have the recipe, he will not kill Senku. Then Senku reveals the recipe for the liquid. Tsukasa thanks him but says that now there is no reason to keep him alive. We are shown a young Senku. Since childhood, he dreamed of going into space, loved science, and wanted to try everything. His father sold his car to buy the necessary equipment for experiments, and as a child, Senku launched his first rocket into space. Tsukasa says that if Senku renounces science forever, he will spare him, but Senku refuses, and Tsukasa kills him with a single precise blow to the neck. We see Taiju and Yuzuriha crying over Senku's death. Taiju throws an iron pyrites up in the air, and Yuzuriha throws gunpowder at Tsukasa. The reaction between the gunpowder and the iron pyrites causes an explosion, allowing Taiju and Yuzuriha to escape. It is raining, and Taiju tries to perform CPR on Senku, but it does not help. Yuzuriha remembers that Senku was always massaging his neck, and seeing that there is a stone in his neck, they take some liquid and pour it on Senku's neck. The stone cracks and his neck is restored. Next, we see a flashback. Senku has just woken up, and the monkeys notice him, unable to understand where the glowing monkey came from. Seeing him and the miracle beneath his feet, the monkeys start to run away. Senku covers his miracle with leaves, creates a stone tool, a rope, lights a fire, catches an animal, lights another fire, prepares food, makes clay, builds, makes clothes, and ultimately creates his base. All of this leaves the monkeys in complete shock. The rain stops and Senku stands up, delighted with his comrades for figuring out how to save him. Taiju can't hold back her tears of joy and hugs Senku tightly, nearly strangling him. Yuzuriha takes a cloth and a stick, making a splint for Senku's neck. Afterwards, Senku offers to meet with Tsukasa, but without his participation as he doesn't know Senku is still alive, which gives them a huge advantage. He tells Taiju and Yuzuriha to join Tsukasa and become double agents. Senku plans to create a revolutionary army to stop Tsukasa in the future, as he plans to build his own army and kill people en masse. In addition, Senku wants to find those who have been giving smoke signals and get them on his side. They end up splitting up. Next, we see Tsukasa wandering around alone. He notices someone following him, and it turns out to be a blonde girl with flowers in her hair. She instantly attacks him with quick and agile attacks. She witnesses Tsukasa take Yuzuriha hostage and ruthlessly kill Senka, but Tsukasa throws her off with one powerful blow and cuts down a tree so that it falls right on top of the girl, crushing her. At that moment, Senku, noticing the fall of the tree, runs to see what has happened and finds the blonde girl unable to get out. He offers to help her, and she agrees. Senku creates a mechanism to distribute the load and thus saves the girl. She thanks him and introduces herself. Her name is Kohaku. As night falls, Kohaku falls asleep with knives in his hands, much to Senka's surprise. She doesn't trust him, but Senku calmly replies that he is not the kind of man who attacks lionesses at night. Kohaku offers his help in the fight against Tsukasa, and in turn, Senku needs manpower to build a new civilization. Kohaku then invites him to come along with her, as she has comrades. On the way home, she tells him about her sick sister, for whom she fills a pot with hot water every day, and prepares a bath to give her some relief. At last, they come to a village of about 40 people. Senku surmises that a scientist woke up 100 years ago, created a special liquid, and all the current inhabitants are his descendants. The village guards, Ginro and Kinro, appear here, guarding the inhabitants. Senku demonstrates the bubbles, which confuses the guards, and they realize that the village's level of development is at 0. At this point, an eccentric and ingenious sorcerer named Chrome appears and offers Senku a challenge. He shows how he changes the color of the fire: yellow, green, purple, which amazes Senka, who immediately explains everything from a scientific point of view. Chrome is alarmed because he thought Senku would be scared or want to become his apprentice, but he is amazed by something else. Chrome has been able to collect a lot of scientific materials on his own. Senku warns him that Tsukasa will want to kill him, and then Chrome challenges him to a duel. If Senku wins, he gets everything he wants. If he loses, he must leave the village. Chrome, confident in his arithmetic skills, loses completely, and Senku gains access to a warehouse with materials. Using these, he turns Kinro's ordinary spear into a golden one to bribe him, and the ruse works. We are soon introduced to Kohaku's sickly sister. Her name is Ruri. Senku talks about the past and what happened to the Earth 3,000 years ago. Upon hearing this, Chrome can't hold back his tears and vows not to forgive those who turned all of humanity to stone. Now, he and Senku have a common goal: to cure Ruri, and to do so they decide to create an antibiotic. Meanwhile, Ruri is getting worse, and Senku has a cunning plan. If he cures her, the village will definitely accept him as a savior. Senku begins to think of a way to create an antibiotic. The first thing they set out to find is a natural magnet: iron sand in the river, which can be used to make iron. Along the way, we meet a girl with a watermelon on her head. Her name is Suika. She considers herself useless, and so she decided to help the guys. After collecting sand, you need to turn it into iron, mix it with coal, and put it in the fire. But there is a problem. The temperature is only 700 degrees, and you need 1,500. The only solution is to blow non-stop. So begins a real struggle for temperature. By morning, Senku and Chrome realize that their strength is not enough, and they need to recruit more people. To do this, they need to find out who wants what. Suka offers herself for this role. She can hide in her watermelon, and then no one will notice her. So the great detective Suika is born, and she begins her investigation. Eventually, it turns out that Garnet, Sapphire, and Ruby want a boyfriend, and Genin dreams of a variety of food. Senku decides to play on this and cook something everyone has loved before: ramen. His plan is simple: colonize the village with ramen. Senku begins to distribute the food to everyone, and Kohaku is pleased that so many people have come. Senku is pleased too, because all this food will not be wasted. Everyone will have to work for it. During the conversation, a stranger appears and unexpectedly asks for coke. Kohaku immediately takes him for an enemy and surrounds him, but it turns out to be Gen Asagiri, who has written books on psychology in the past. Senku decides to leave him alone because the rule is the same: he who has eaten works. It soon becomes clear that Gen Asagiri is actually working for Tsukasa. His job was to make sure Senku was dead. Gen himself is pragmatic. He doesn't care whether the Kingdom of Science or Tsukasa wins. Senku tells him about his goal to create a generator made of iron and copper. Gen is shocked. Building a generator seems impossible in the Middle Ages. To do this, Senku needs a lightning strike to get a magnet, and already from it, a generator. Then he and the others climb a bald mountain, stick Kinro's golden spear sheathed in iron and copper into the ground, and lightning strikes it, creating a powerful magnet. Using it, adding phosphorus and copper, they get electricity. Next, Senku constructs a handheld generator, which requires two people with perfect synchronization and plenty of power. Kinro and Jinro become an excellent choice. After completing the generator, Senku creates a light bulb from processed bamboo, and for the first time in 3,700 years, a light comes on at night. The guys decide that Gen Asagiri is neither bad nor good, but the Science Kingdom needs him. The key is to get him to convince Tsukasa that Senku is dead, because that's the only way to win. At this point, Gen is looking at the handheld generator, but suddenly he is attacked. He is beaten and even stabbed in the stomach with a spear. A little later, Senku and Chrome approach him. Seeing Gen lying there, they think he is dead, but when Senku checks, it turns out that Gen was just using blood bags, and though he is badly wounded, he is still alive. Suika decides to investigate and find out who wanted to kill Gen. In the morning, she brings breaking news. It was Magma. In fact, Magma wanted to kill Senka, the wizard that Kohaku brought in, but got confused and attacked Geno. It turns out that Magma wants to get rid of Kohaku. The thing is, once a generation, there is a battle in the village called the Great Battle. When the priestess Ruri comes of age, the winner of this tournament must marry her and become the new head of the village. Against Kohaku, Magma doesn't stand a chance. He will lose easily, but if Kohaku can't participate, he'll have a chance. Kohaku, of course, has no intention of letting Magma become her sister's husband, but there's a problem. Even though she's strong, she can't marry Ruri herself, so the tournament is postponed for a month. During this time, Senku, Kohaku, Kinro, and Jinro decide that they will participate and try to keep Magma from winning. They need to win and get time to cure Ruri with antibiotics. Later, Gen comes to his senses. At night, when everyone is already asleep, he whispers something to Chenk, and in the morning, he suddenly disappears. It turns out that he went to Tsukasa's house. That night, Gen asked Senku to make a Coke for him, and Senku agreed. Gen ended up lying to Tsukasa. He said that Senku was really dead and met the ordinary village that attacked him, all for the sake of a cold bottle of Coke. The development of glass for the development of civilization begins because clay pots are not suitable for experiments at all, and glass is resistant to all chemicals. Senku removes a watermelon from Suika's head out of curiosity, and it turns out that she is very pretty and cute, but she has a vision problem that makes her unable to see properly. Senku makes clear lenses, polishes them, and attaches them to the mask. Together with Chrome and Suika, he goes to the field. At first, Suika sees everything blurry, but after putting on the lenses, for the first time she sees the beauty of the world and the faces of Senku and Chrome. Senka and Chrome can't get the glass into a beautiful shape and need the help of a craftsman. Chrome brings an old man named Kaseki. At first, he refuses to help Senku, believing him to be a sorcerer and angry that he has torn a plank off the bridge Kaseki had made. But when Kaseki sees how badly they are doing with the glass, he breaks the ropes and shows his strength. He is a pumped-up, muscular master. He deftly and confidently shapes the glass. After 50 years of craftsmanship, he has become a real pro. Now, the Kingdom of Science has a home base. Senku makes a silver spear for Jinro, and together they go to the mountain to mine sulfuric acid. But they quickly realize that there is nothing for them to do there without training, so they go back. Senku then sets about making gas masks for himself, Chroma, and Jinro. He takes bamboo, processes it, adds sodium carbonate, mixes it all up, pulverizes it, and gets activated charcoal. The gas masks are ready. The second time, Senku and Chrome go to get the sulfuric acid again, while Jinro stays at the base. He just chickens out because he's scared to die. At first, everything goes smoothly, but then Senku's gas mask gets damaged, and Chrome, running to help him, breaks a rock under his feet and almost falls right into the lake with acid. At the last moment, he manages to be grabbed by Jinro, who has come to the rescue after all. Thanks to this, they successfully extract sulfuric acid. Senku continues his experiments. The process of creating the cure is almost complete. But one important ingredient is missing: alcohol. Kaseki says that if Senku and the others win tomorrow's battle, they can get plenty of alcohol. Senku decides to participate, even though he doesn't know how to fight. because in a pinch, you can lose on purpose. Walking into the village for the first time, Senku runs into Ruri. Hearing his name, she says she knows him and then asks for his last name, but not getting an answer, she falls down exhausted due to illness. Senku is faced with a lot of questions. The tournament distribution begins. The first round is Kinro versus Magma. In the fight, it is revealed that Kinro has the same vision problems as Suika, and because of this, he starts losing. Suika then throws him her watermelon mask. Once on, Kinro sees more clearly, dodges Magma's punches easily, and retaliates with a punch to the face. Kinro goes easy on Magma at first, but then asks the referee for permission to mask him. With his back to Magma, he gets a kick in, and that breaks the watermelon mask. Kinro ends up losing the round. In the second round, Chrome goes up against Mantle and wins. In the third, it's Senku against Kohaku. Since she didn't make it in time, Senku is automatically counted as the winner. In the fourth fight, Ginro fights against Aggro. After taking a lot of punches, he still manages to push his opponent into a cliffhanger and gets the victory. The next round is Chrome versus Magma. Magma immediately starts beating Chrome up and he falls down, unable to do anything. Chrome then throws sand in his face, runs away, and covers Suika's mask. Magma comes down on him again with blows, but Chrome, raising his mask on his spear, uses his lens and with difficulty sets Magma's clothes on fire. He then delivers a powerful blow and Magma falls into the water. Victory for Chrome. Next up is a Ginro against Senku fight. Senku uses his wits and wins easily. In the finale, he fights against Chrome, but Chrome, too tired after the last battle, passes out, and Senku automatically becomes the new village leader and Ruri's husband. Senku immediately agrees, but immediately asks for wine to be brought to him, and officially divorces Ruri. When he returns, he begins to prepare a cure for her. It takes all day, and finally it is ready. Senku and his friends go to the village to give Ruri the medicine. At this time, General Asagiri walks into the lab, and when he sees the cold cola, he happily drinks it. Ruri takes the medicine, and at first, she feels even worse. Her father is furious with Senku since it wasn't so bad before, but Senku assures her that she has pneumonia and he will definitely cope with the disease. And indeed, after a few days, Ruri makes a full recovery. The village head now officially recognizes Senku as the new leader of Ishigami Village. Senku is surprised that the village is named after him, and Ruri comes up and says that she already knows all about him, because there is a story about Senku in the village history. We are shown little Senku looking at the moon and wondering why it is following him. At that moment, a man appears from behind and tells us that he failed his astronaut exam because of swimming. Since he was a child, Senku has dreamed of becoming an astronaut, and even then, together with little Taiju, he was already experimenting with creating a special suit for a man. This man turns out to be Senku's father, Byakuya Ishigami. The suit didn't work, but he wanted to learn to swim for his son. 5 years later, Byakuya goes into space. On the spaceship, we meet the crew of the International Station: Lillian Weinburn, Shamil Volkov, Yakov Nikitin, Daria Nikitina, and Connie Lee. While having fun, the crew notices from Earth a huge green flash that envelops the entire planet. Through online cameras, they see that all the people on Earth have turned into statues. Senku's father offers to return to Earth to save 7 billion people. Lillian Weinburn, Shamil Volkov, and Connie Lee are sent to Earth and successfully land on water. But because the capsule has flipped over, they can't open the hatch, and there is only enough air for 9 hours. Then, Byakuya, along with Yakov and Daria, decides to land at the nearest island and sets off in a boat to rescue the boys. He gets there in time and pulls them out. 3 years pass. Shamil marries Connie, and at their wedding, Lillian sings. After the song, she runs away in tears. Byakuya comes up to support her. He says that if their generation fails, the next one will. He believes that Senku is alive. It turns out that Byakuya is not Senku's blood father, but he is sure that Senku is the one who will save humanity, so he decides to leave his son a gift to prepare friends for him who will be there for him in the future. After a while, Connie falls ill. Yakov and Daria go to the mainland for antibiotics, but never return. Connie dies. Shamil also tears down, and before he dies, he utters his last words. Later, we see Senku and Ruri at Byakuya's grave. Senku is left alone and thanks him for the gift he left behind. Back in the village, Senku receives word from Gen Asagiriya. Tsukasa's men are marching on the village. Kinro and Ginro stand at the entrance to the village even during the party, because they are guards and have a duty to protect the villagers. Suddenly, Kinro notices Tsukasa's men. He orders Ginro to warn the others. Suddenly, an enemy appears, Hyoga. He delivers a powerful blow to Kinro's shield. He manages to block the attack, but he fails to dodge the next blow and is hit in the stomach with a spear. Kinro falls off the bridge, but at the last moment, he grabs Hyuga's leg leg. At this time, Senku prepares a fake gunshot sound. Gen Asagiri tells Magma to throw a rock on command, creating the illusion of a gunshot. Frightened, Hyuga and his men retreat. Kinro stays alive thanks to Senku. Later, Senku makes glasses for him and comes up with a plan to stop Hyuga, who is soon going to attack again. He tells this plan to Kaseki, and upon hearing the sound of tearing cloth, the whole village begins to prepare. A thunderstorm begins to brew. At that moment, Hyuga's group attacks the village. The guys with katanas step out to meet their enemies and break their weapons. Hyuga realizes that it was Gen Asagiri who cut his spear while resting, and realizes that the latter is a traitor. A girl named Homura Momiji is the culprit. While everyone was busy, she secretly set fire to the houses and then joined forces with Hyuga to escape. All the residents gather at the base, the Science Kingdom. Soon Homura shows up and starts burning everything down. Suika decides to become a decoy to distract the enemies, and she succeeds. At the last moment, Kohaku and Senku save her by putting on a gas mask from the sulfuric acid. Hyuga and Homura manage to escape, but the others are killed. Afterwards, Senku decides to create a phone to receive information from the double agents, Taiju and Yuzuriha. At the same time, Tsukasa learns that Senku is alive. Senku says they have until spring to create a phone. First of all, he decides to make cotton candy. When the cotton candy is ready, Senku treats the villagers and they are delighted with the taste. However, Senku notices that they are being watched. It is Homura. He offers her a taste of the cotton candy, and after trying it, she too is pleased. At this time, Chrome offers Kaseki a new idea. Upon hearing it, Kaseki enthusiastically gets to work, tearing his clothes, and the ground beneath him seems to crack like the Hulk. After a while, Chrome and Kaseki complete their project, a water wheel. By adding a manual generator to it, they mark the end of the era of manual labor and the beginning of a new one, the era of energy. Thus, the first hydroelectric power plant was created. Senku decides to create a device to store electricity, a battery, and succeeds. As winter is coming soon, the whole village works hard. Senku and the others create a light bulb, and on Christmas Day, he lights the lights for the first time. The villagers are delighted when they see the lights. Senku then sets about creating a vacuum light bulb, but it fails. Then Suika finds a stone, which turns out to be a gemstone, tungsten. However, the problem is that there's only one of it. Senku then takes Chroma and Magma with him and goes to the cave to get more tungsten. After descending into the cave and obtaining the necessary stones, Senku and his companions return to the village. He is greeted there with his eyes closed. The villagers have prepared a surprise. When he opens his eyes, Senku sees a gift from the whole village, an astronomical telescope. It turns out that January 4th is Senku's birthday. Gen Asagiri tells him that he learned this when he once asked Senku how long he had lived. He confesses that he admired Senku even before they met, because even though he was petrified, Senku had been counting the days all along, so he knew exactly when he would wake up. They begin the process of creating tungsten filament with difficulty, but still manage to make it. They then create plastic, wire, a radio lamp, and a microphone. After a while, Senku and the team successfully complete the phone before spring arrives. Senku and the boys are happy that they have succeeded in making a phone, but a new problem arises. They need to make another one so that they can communicate over a distance. They then test the first phone, and when people heard each other's voices for the first time over a great distance, everyone was amazed. Later, Senku and his friends come to Senku's father's grave, but it turns out that it is not a grave at all, but a time capsule. Inside, they find a record, and after playing it on a gramophone, they hear the song that Senku's father and Lillian left behind. It is the first time in hundreds of years that people have heard music from the past. Inspired by this, Senku says that after dealing with Tsukasa, he will resurrect every person on Earth and restore civilization.